Yes, it's time to bring this man back with us. We would normally have him tomorrow, but we're only on for an hour tomorrow because of the Cotton Bowl. So that means that Jeff Erickson is kind enough to join us on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday with 1 week left in the fantasy football playoffs for everybody. And obviously a lot of off-season baseball news over the last 48 hours. First off, Jeff, good to have you back. How was the holidays for the Erickson family?
Busy. Spent a night in Dallas that was unanticipated on the way home. But other than that, it was fine. We had a lot of wind, delayed my flight there, and then we were taxiing for an hour. But the good people at American Airlines put us up, so at least that was fine. But other than that, Santa was good. My fantasy league's not so nice to me yesterday, last night. I lost all three championship games, one by 1.05 points, one by 1.8 points, and another by 10 points.
Oh, now let me ask you this, okay? Losing is losing. You don't want to lose, but doesn't it always hurt more to lose by a point or two than by 10? Because at least by 10, you're out. And especially if there's a move that you're thinking about in hindsight and you say, man, why didn't I go with this over this? And then you find that, had you made that decision, you'd be winning a fantasy title and not second place.
100%. I'd rather get blown out. I'd rather it be convincing. And in all three cases, too, I was just basically doing the anti-route. I was rooting against. Like I was going against Diggs last night with a 32-point lead. It was over early in the fourth quarter. It was awful. And that was the league where I had like the best odds of winning. I had another one where, I was going against the Buffalo kicker. Buffalo settles for that 22-yard field goal that started the game. Like, oh, this is going to be awful because they're moving the ball at will. It's just like extra point city after that. So of course I lost that one that was the 1.8 point league. And there were, plenty of mistakes that could have been, made in that one there. Little things here and there, big mistakes here and there too. But it's frustrating. I'd rather just like someone have Kamara and Diggs and, Adams and just blow me out. I far prefer that.
So you didn't play anybody with Kamara this past weekend, did you?
I did not. In fact, I eliminated two people with Kamara the previous weekend. So there you go.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, are you done with your fantasy football playoffs, or do you have any leagues that are still left heading into week 17?
It's not playoffs, but we played all total points bet our stake league. It's through week 17 where we have 8 of us and we have a side bet. Total points for the whole season. 7 of us, I think. Top 3 eat for free. Fourth place pays for himself, and it's actually 8 people. So top 4 eat, 5th pays for himself, 6, 7 pay for themselves, and 1 other. Last place pays for himself and 2 others. So that gets to be pretty punitive. We don't know when we're going to be able to get together, but when we will, it'll be epic.
I feel like we need to, Adrian and I need to get together and we need to figure out a stake league, maybe with some of the other sports personalities in El Paso, and get a chance to do something like that too, because that does sound like a ton of fun.
Yeah, and you get a nice steak dinner with your friends. That's the best part of it too. You get, it's fellowship, and we enjoy that, and it's a blast. And I care more about that than winning the playoffs league. The entry fee in that league is really low.
Now, is that league is it a PPR format?
We changed from standard to half point PPR just this year. We finally caved a little bit there. I should say Peter Shanky, RotoWire president, finally caved on that one. He's a staunch anti-PPR guy.
You know how tough it must be, though, playing into the final week, especially if you have Pat Mahomes and he's sitting, or if you have Ben Roethlisberger and he's sitting, and all these guys that have been your MVPs and you need them the most heading into this last week are suddenly not available. That's got to kill you.
Absolutely. And my original league used to do that. It was old school. I remember I picked up Arian Foster in week 15, 3 weeks in a row in the playoffs. That's the first year I won my original home league. I think I was the Buffalo Bills of that league. I think I finished second like 5 times in a row. And then I finally broke through and won with a pickup that I had just gotten that week, just in time for the playoffs.
Oh my God. So I understand how that's going to hurt. And you know what? Let's talk fantasy football for just a second. Then we'll end it with baseball because of all the moves that have happened, with the Padres the last few days. As far as football goes right now, I think the one big story is the emergence of A.J. Dillon and what we saw from him against Tennessee. I mean, it's so rare to find a guy that suddenly has a huge breakout and you're starting now to wonder, could he do it again against the Bears and maybe more of a timeshare with Aaron Jones just because of how dominant Dillon looked against the Titans?
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Now, keep in mind, it was the Titans, who are terrible defensively, and in the snow, and they kind of just got beaten down. What happened to them is what they usually do to other people with Derrick Henry. They just got bludgeoned. But the thing is, Dylan missed time with COVID, and it was serious. He actually had it. He was out for weeks, not just like close contact or anything. He's third on the depth chart, but Jamal Williams was out this week, so he steps up. And Aaron Jones was a little banged up. Remember early on, he got hit on that pass play, went to the sidelines. In comes Dylan, looked good. And like, oh, we have this. And they're not surprised. They'd seen it in practice. They drafted him in the second round, my goodness. So they knew this is succession planning here too.
Meanwhile, he's not the best possible waiver wire pickup this week, is he? I mean, Malcolm Brown might end up, especially if he's more available, could be that guy that everybody jumps on heading into the final week of the season.
Yeah, because Darrell Henderson's definitely out. Cam Akers is got a chance to play, but he's going to be compromised, and they don't have a whole lot behind him. But it's running backs. Remember Edgerrin James gets hurt one year, and Dominic Rhodes, undrafted rookie, runs for 1,000 yards. It's a position of opportunity. And so whoever steps up to get that chance can do it. Jeff Wilson looked great last week for the Niners. Not everybody can do it, and you have to have the right offensive line, the right matchup. But yeah, Malcolm Brown could be useful.
So is it fair to say that the final week of the season, there's really sometimes more luck involved than anything else, especially if certain players are not playing as much, they try to be rested if they're on a really good team. And that's the toughest part, because the truth is you're riding the fantasy production of the best players in the league. And ultimately, if you've got Tyreek Hill or Pat Mahomes or anybody else, and all of a sudden you realize that they're going to sit, it's such a tough decision when you have something big on the line and you're trying to decide, do I roll the dice and hope they play well before they sit? Or should I just go into maybe my bench and find someone that I know is going to give me 4 quarters and a chance to produce?
100% agree. And that's why you see almost every fantasy league these days has their final in week 16, just for that reason. And you'll see it. And I remember one year the Colts started sitting their starters in week 16 one year when they were undefeated, and they had like a 2 or 3 game lead. But it's going to be tough. And, some of these teams are going to treat this like the preseason. And they might play one series. They might not play at all. I actually think I applaud Mike Tomlin for this decision. Remember, the Steelers have a particular history. They got robbed of their bye week multiple times because of COVID. First the Titans, then the Ravens. So they didn't really get that extended time off. So Mike Tomlin's given his veterans time off now.
But if Buffalo gets upset by Miami, and let's just say Pittsburgh has a chance to beat the Browns, and they don't because Mason Rudolph doesn't come through, they lose the 2 seed. So even though the road to the Super Bowl has to go through Kansas City, and this is something Adrian brought up to me earlier in the show, would you rather play a second-round game in Buffalo against the Bills or have a chance to host them if that's the opportunity?
I mean, that's a valid question, valid point. And I think you have just to kind of weigh this. Like, they've had a lot of guys banged up. Their defense has been really banged up. They've lost players for the season. I think for them, getting healthier was more important to them because they're not going to get that bye week regardless. So they know Kansas City is locked into the 1. That's done. So they're going to have to play the first week of the playoffs. I think to them, it's far more important to get everybody healthy, that they need to get healthy.
I'm with you on that one. All right. Continuing our conversation right now with Jeff Erickson from RotoWire.com, your premium source for fantasy sports. Don't forget, RotoWire.com/free will give you that 10-day trial subscription. You get a chance to see everything that RotoWire has to offer. You've got baseball articles up right now, a lot of football as well, plus basketball, everything you could possibly imagine. And your value meter, which normally we talk a lot about when we bring you on Wednesdays, because it's a day earlier, Jeff, we don't have this week's value meter up just yet. That's going to be coming soon.
Yeah, that's right. I'm working on it right now, actually, and it's one of the hardest weeks. Week 1, week 17, perhaps are probably the 2 hardest weeks. Week 1, we don't really know, everything that's in place, how teams are going to look. Week 17, we don't know who's going to play, and we talked a lot about that already. So yeah, it'll be really tricky. In general, try to go with the guys that have something to play for. That seems to be a pretty good policy.
Well, now you tell me, as far as week 17 goes, if there are certain players and certain matchups you love, if you're still alive in fantasy football, who are they?
Yeah. Like for instance, it's funny. I would have liked going with Darrell Henderson this week, but for this injury now, because Arizona just gave up a slew of rushing yards to the Niners last week. I'm intrigued to watch a little bit about, going this Tennessee-Houston game. Should be massive. Houston, talk about a disappointing team. a lot of people stream them for their Super Bowl for defense, and the Bengals put 37 burger on them with no turnovers. They got negative points. So yeah, unlike Tennessee, I think they'll bounce back in this game. Watson may be banged up. That's the one thing on the Houston side of things. But if he's healthy, I like him. I like the Houston skill players too, because Tennessee can't stop anybody. They can't get a pass rush right now.
You must have loved it as a Bengals fan, right? That's probably one of the best moments of the year for you.
Yeah, it's kind of, in a way it's bittersweet though, because we did drop a couple spots in draft position directly to Houston, which actually is going to Miami because Houston is dumb, or at least was dumb under Bill O'Brien. And also just, like what could have been. But yeah, I mean, with Brandon Allen balling out, Samaje Perine balling out. I mean, it's fun to watch T. Higgins make plays. I'll say that much. That's something that we can count on in the future. I'm looking forward to him and Burrow just for years to come.
Imagine being a Jets fan and seeing 2 wins in the last 2 weeks and realizing that they went from the number 1 pick to the number 2 pick and lost out on Trevor Lawrence. But maybe and I've been advocating this now. I want to see them go out and blow off the quarterbacks at 2 and go out and get themselves the offensive tackle from Oregon and
yeah,
have a right tackle set up.
What the Bengals fans were lamenting not getting, but if the Jets took him at 2, it wouldn't matter anyhow. The Bengals would have screwed it up anyhow. So yeah, go Jets, go take him, and we'll figure another way to screw out. We'll get the next Akili Smith instead.
Fair enough. Now let's talk for a minute about baseball, because you just had 8 days ago the RotoWire magazine mock baseball draft, and you've got some baseball articles up on the website as well. What was your gut reaction to having your first RotoWire baseball draft in late December?
Yeah, we do this every year for the magazine. It's a mock draft and publish the results usually. We made them available to the public a little quicker. It was fun. It's fun to do it. It's good to get back in the mode. It was a wild night. I'm watching Monday Night Football. I'm doing this. 2 hours into this draft, I'm doing a basketball auction for my home league. Separate people there. And so I'm like triple multitasking. I'm at my parents' house and they need things too. So just all sorts of stimuli going around. But it was fun. It's like, okay, I could get behind this team. And you start to learn, like, okay, where the drop-offs are. Like, ooh, I don't like any closers after round 9. I have to decide, how am I going to handle that in the future? That's the one thing these mock drafts are really good for.
Who are your favorite picks on this particular draft? Who'd you like the most?
For what I liked, I got my guy Franmil Reyes in the 12th round. Now, keep in mind, he's UT only. He's not an outfielder this year. So that hurts a little bit there. But 12th round, there's a lot more UT onlys this year. I think a couple of those guys are in the National League, by the way. So something to watch for there as far as that goes. I snuck in at Alejandro Kirk. I think he's a guy that you want to keep an eye on for the Blue Jays. I think he supplants Danny Jansen behind the plate this year.
As far as the moves the Padres have made in the last 24 hours or so, let's talk about the 2 pitchers, Blake Snell and Yu Darvish, once that deal gets finalized, along with Victor Caratini coming over. What do you think happens to their fantasy profiles, and also Zach Davies, for that matter, moving from San Diego to Chicago?
So it's interesting. Better ballpark for Darvish, but a tougher division. Now he has to face the Dodgers a lot. He has to go to Coors Field more. San Francisco can actually hit a little bit. It's not the easy daisy pass that it used to be. Keep in mind they moved the fences in, and that kind of applies to that a little bit. But I think overall it's a better profile, better chance to get some wins, because the Cubs are clearly, tearing down right now. And that's, if you're a Chicago fan, you just got to be going crazy about this. The Cubs fan, I should say, because the White Sox are competing and the Cubs are not. This is like a turnabout of things. I think Snell, it's interesting. We were talking during the break, hopefully they turn him loose a little bit more. He throws more innings. That'd be fun. Now, he hasn't held up all that well in the past, and I do worry about the walks a little bit with Snell. If he throws more innings, does that mean a little bit less bang for the buck per inning? That might be a case too. So something to watch for as that goes. But yeah, I mean, obviously he pitched well against the Dodgers. That's one of the reasons why they target him. It shows you invest in your farm system, you can make go for it trades. And Preller, he waited till the time is right. He's like, if you're in a dynasty league, I'm in a dynasty leagues. When the time to compete is there, you go all in. No half measures. He's going all in right now. Let's not forget about the kid they signed out of Korea too, Kim, who is going to play second base for them.
So do you feel that now they've really closed the gap to the Dodgers, or do you think that the Dodgers are still, after all these moves, considerably better than the Pods?
I don't know about considerably better. I'd make them the favorite. But and the thing is with the Padres, they got these 2 pitchers, and that's awesome. I'm really worried about the Nelson Lamet. I need to see him make like 4, 5, 6 outings before I'm really all in on him, which means I'm not going to get him. I saw the prices I've seen him go so far. I'm scared. I just don't think that. And obviously, they're not going to have Clevenger. They've still got other good young kids. Morejon's a guy that's really interesting, and they've got 6 pitchers really that are really interesting.
You think Paddock can rebound a little bit and pitch more like he did in 2018 and not 2019, or 2019 and not 2020?
I don't see why not. Yeah, I think he can bounce back. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, you have to worry, is he healthy? That's always a concern. But yeah, there's some question marks there. But it's going to be really fun to see him try. I'm really looking forward to this.
What's your fantasy profile going to be for Kim? What are you projecting? Just early analysis after the move.
I think that he's not going to play shortstop, obviously, so that kind of changes things. He's played mostly short and third in his career, so he has to kind of learn a position. But usually, you can move from short to second pretty readily. But it's just that might take a little bit of time. That's something to watch out for there. He hit 306, 397, 523 last year. He had 30 homers, 23 steals. The power probably won't completely pour it over. I expect him to be more like 15 and 10 is probably what I'd expect, with a pretty decent average. I think he'll hit for average. He may not hit for as much power as people are hoping for.
All right. Hopefully more deals are coming. I don't think this is it. The Padres might not be done. There's still rumors of Sonny Gray and your Cincinnati Reds that could still be in the works.
I've heard them banner that about for a while. And yeah, it's depressing. The Reds kind of sort of won one off season. And, now they're peeling back. They already traded their closer. They're rumored to trade Gray. I don't want to hear about it. It's frustrating.
Tell me about the website and what you want to profile for us at rotowire.com.
Just wrote up an article about Corbin Burns last night. Posted early this morning, wrote it last night. I think he's going too high. I love him, but I worry about durability, his walk rate, the fact that, and we'll see, we don't know what baseball is going to look like this year. When does it start? How many games they play? Will it be a geographical schedule like last year, or will it be a normal schedule? If it's a normal schedule, that means you lose all that, you face a lot more tougher lineups. All these Central Division pitchers, AL and NL. That's something you want to pay attention to. I think you're going to check out the ratios on those guys. So that's something I'll be picking at a lot more during this draft season.
Terrific stuff. And this will be our final conversation for 2020. We'll put this year to bed and look forward to having you back next week when we get ready for 2021, Jeff.
Sounds great. Happy New Year, Steve.
Happy New Year to you as well.